Hi, you guys. Welcome to Speak the Truth 2.0. My name is Cindy, and my co host is Elijah. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe for future updates. And think about becoming a special member of Speak the Truth because we are authentic, it's non scripted, but we want to hop into what's going on. Everyone is aware of the elections yesterday. You had the governor's race in Virginia that was won by a Democrat. You had the governor race in New Jersey that was won by a Democrat. And then you had the mayor's race in New York that was won by a socialist Democrat. So we're going to take a look at like what happened yesterday with the races. Why was there a clean sweep that the Democratic Party, I guess they, in a way, they prevailed yesterday because people voted for these Democratic leaders. And Trump, I guess at the last minute, he did decide to support Cuomo, and he's a Democrat. But he had rather for Cuomo to have won and to become the mayor of New York versus Madani, who he says is a socialist, and I think he's a self-proclaimed socialist. So anyway, we're going to take a look at it because this shutdown is the real issue, and I do believe that America spoke loud and clearly in this election. So it's showing the temperament of the government. People are tired of each party and the president blaming one another. The American people want results. They are so tired of this government blaming game that I have labeled it government fatigue. And that's what it is. So we're going to listen to the two House leaders. We're going to listen to Mike Johnson, and then we're going to listen to Hakeem Jeffries, and then we're going to react to what they are saying.
Multiple times over the weekend, I mentioned, and of course the filibuster came up. This is a Senate matter. It has nothing to do with the House. Everybody wants to know what my opinion is. I mean, my opinion is irrelevant. I understand desperate times call for desperate measures. I also understand that traditionally we've seen that as an important safeguard. I mean, I obviously shared my thoughts with the president on that. As much as I have wanted to blow up the filibuster sometime as a House member when we were not getting what we wanted done in our agenda, I hear my Senate Republican colleagues, some of the most conservative people in Congress, who say it's an important safeguard. It prevents us. It holds us back from the Democrats' worst impulses. This is a very important matter. It's something that we're giving all of our attention to. Our leaders will go and meet on the calendar right now. We watch it every day. But the simplest way to get all these issues resolved, healthcare, everything else, to get it all finished up for the year, is for them to reopen the government and make sure people are not hurting instead of Democrats over here playing political games to cover their own backside. I hope the election tomorrow is a change, a sea change in all this. I hope that after everybody votes and they go in their room and they make the calculation that, well, maybe we won't have to hold that line anymore. Maybe they won't punish us. Maybe it won't affect turnout in our states in these elections. Maybe after tomorrow they'll come to their common senses again and do the right thing. We certainly pray that is true.
The urgency, as far as I'm concerned, for Democrats is that we need to reopen the government. We need to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people. But we also have to decisively address the Republican healthcare crisis. In a year where Republicans have enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, almost $1 trillion ripped away from more than 14 million Americans. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers are closing all across the country because of Republican policies and what they did in their one big ugly bill. As we find ourselves now in open enrollment, tens of millions of Americans are experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles because Republicans are unwilling to find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class, middle class, and everyday Americans. That's why Democrats have been in this fight, to make sure that we are delivering for the American people, lowering the high cost of living and addressing the Republican healthcare crisis. And it should be done with urgency now. But Mike Johnson and Republicans on Capitol Hill, who don't work for the American people, they just work for Donald Trump. He's their boss. have canceled votes now for 6 consecutive weeks. They're nowhere to be found. They're missing in action.
See, I think that's what everyone is tired of. We keep hearing everyone go, this has been going on for 36 days. During the 36 days, you have TSA, traffic controllers. So people who are planning on traveling during the Thanksgiving holidays, there are so many canceled flights now. There are delayed flights. People are not coming to work. They're understaffed. They don't have money probably to get to work or to go to work, and have be able to purchase lunch or something while they're there. So it's affecting people in a big way. And I think that had a lot to do, and President Trump feels the same way. He thinks that the government shutdown had something to do with what happened yesterday during the election. So he wants to end the shutdown. He wants to do a filibuster. So we're going to look into what is a filibuster. What does that mean? And we want to hear like what Trump had to say because he responded. He did not like that. I guess the Democrats won so many different positions. In government, like you had two people that were elected governor. So you had different people that are wondering what happened yesterday. What happened? What caused the Republicans to lose these different races in the way that they had lost. So we're going to look. I'm trying to find the remarks that Trump said, the short part, what he said, and who he blamed for the shutdown. And he's saying that he blamed it basically on the shutdown of the government. So we want to look into that. I'm trying to find his exact words, because I don't want it to be long. But he did have an answer about it. He delivered a message during the breakfast that they had this morning with his senators, the Republican senators. So he did do that. He urged them to do a filibuster. But let's see, we'll just go to this because he is really upset, and he's upset at the Republicans at the result of what just happened. And and this is his reaction.
Exactly 1 year ago, we had that big, beautiful victory. Last night, it was, not expected to be a victory. It was a Democrat age, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot. And we're going to talk about that, and I'll say a few remarks, and then after that, I'll ask the press to leave. The press has been very, very nice to us the last couple of months. They were great to us in terms of the foreign visits with China, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia. And they were actually terrific. So I want to thank you for that. I'm sure you'll get back to your normal ways soon. But we did a great job over in China. And we've done a great job in turning off wars. We stopped 8 wars. And we have 1 to go, as you probably know, and that'll get stopped also. But we've done a great job. So it's really been an honor to do it. And I did it with many of the people in this room. Every one of you I know, and every one of you I like our leaders, I like everybody. But I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor, and they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that. And I just want to thank everybody for being here, and a very special thanks to Vice President J.D. Vance, who's doing a terrific job.
So that's some remarks and we're going to go more deeper into this and what Trump had to say even about Madandi. Him winning in New York. Like everybody had perceived that he was going to win. Cuomo, he ran against him as an independent, he lost, and then as a Democratic nominee, and he lost, and then he ran against him as an independent. Adam dropped out of the race, who was initially running as an independent, and then you had Silva, who ran as a Republican. I don't even know why he was in the race because he didn't really get any votes. I think he runs every election, but so this is Trump entering the room before he speaks to the Republicans that he called for to have a breakfast with him, and he did speak about Madandi as well.
Last night, it was, not expected to be a victory. It was very Democratic. I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot. There will definitely be corruption because, they passed through too many hands. If you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that. And then they are representing the American people, including the countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increasing strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it open. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit.
Wow.
An interesting evening, and we learned a lot, and we're going to talk about that, and I'll say a few remarks. It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape. We won't pass any legislation. There'll be no legislation passed for 3.25. We have 3.25 years left. It's a long time. And they'll wreak havoc. But let's assume they get it. They're doing it anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But the biggest thing is the filibuster. We have to get the country going. We will pass legislation at levels you've never seen before, and it'll be impossible to beat us. By the way, if they do, they're going to do it anyway, and they are going to immediately do the filibuster. And when they do the filibuster, they're going to pack the court. They want at least five justices. Now I hear it's up to 5. I actually heard up to 7 and up to 9, okay? They want new judges, they want to pack the court, and they will do it in the first day, maybe the week. Maybe they'll slow it down. He was the head of Sullivan and Cromwell for like 20 years. He went to the SEC. I think it's very important. We have to get the country open, and the way we're going to do it this afternoon is to terminate the filibuster. And it's possible you're not going to do that. And I'm going to go by your wishes. You're very smart people. We're good friends.
Yeah,
but I think it's a tremendous.
Trump wants to use the filibuster, but the Republicans are saying that if he used the filibuster, then they could use it back on him. So it's like you don't want to do something, I guess, that could come back on you. So that's what's like going on now. And they had I'm going to look at Pat Schumer. He said enough is enough. Democrats warn is over. And people, this is what's happening with Transportation Secretary. He's saying this is what's going on in the airlines. People are planning on going on vacations in the very near future because
reports across the nation continue due to the government shutdown. Federal officials have a new warning for travelers. Here's Janelle Fort.
Well, look, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is not mincing his words. He says that if this government shutdown does, in fact, drag into next week, parts of the nation's airspace could actually close because there simply wouldn't be enough air traffic controllers to manage it. Now, remember, nearly 13,000 controllers have been working without pay for weeks now. The FAA says safety won't be compromised, but when they're short-staffed, they have to slow down traffic. That means more delays and, in some cases, cancellations. Here in North Texas, things aren't falling apart yet, but travelers are definitely feeling it. DFW and Love Field have both seen longer TSA lines this week and some scattered delays. But over in Houston, it's been even worse. A ground stop at Hobby Airport yesterday because of staffing issues and wait times topping 3 hours earlier this week at Bush Intercontinental Airport. Both airports are warning travelers today to expect longer than usual lines. And since Texas airspace is so interconnected, when one city slows down, it tends to ripple right across the state. So listen to what Secretary Duffy said could happen if there's still no deal soon.
You will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers
So what can you do before heading out? Check the DFW Airport app or Love Field's website. They update in real time so you can see wait times and any flight delays or cancellations before you even leave home. For now, it is all about patience and planning. But if this shutdown keeps going, as we said, experts are warning that this will get much worse before it gets better. And of course, this isn't just impacting travelers, it's impacting families too. So let's get over to our Chris Sadeghi, who's looking at how the shutdown is making it harder for some North Texas families to put food on the table.
It's like this shutdown is in its 36 days. And what we need to really look at is that the people that are being affected by it are the least being heard. And that's a disservice to the American people. We got to do better.
Travel if the government shutdown drags into next week.
You will see mass chaos. You will see mass flight delays. You'll see mass cancellations, and you may see us close certain parts of the airspace because we just cannot manage it because we don't have the air traffic controllers.
The Department of Transportation says 46% of air traffic delays Monday were due to staffing issues, compared to typically 5% before the shutdown. Cameron Cochems is a TSA officer in Idaho, working without pay.
It's frankly embarrassing that as federal employees in the strongest and richest country in the world, that we're having to go to food banks and not be able to pay our bills.
In Colorado, look at this food bank line.
I am a single mom with 2 kids. It's just harder.
And despite a recent court ruling that the administration must continue funding the food assistance program, today President Trump writing on social media that SNAP benefits will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up the government.
How would that not violate the court order as it's written?
We are complying with the court's order. We are getting the payments out the door as quickly as we can. USDA sent the guidance to the state. The president is referring to future SNAP payments.
On Capitol Hill, bipartisan talks between rank-and-file members have picked up. Some senators now predict the shutdown could end as early as this week. The president is inviting Republican senators here to the White House for breakfast tomorrow. Tom?
We thank you for...
Well, as we know, the shutdown is still going on. It's in the 36 day of the shutdown. And meanwhile, people are no better off than they were 36 days ago. If this continues, it's like affecting the stock market, it's affecting so many families, and it's like they're fighting over the health care. That's why the government is shut down. That's what's being said by the Democrats. So if the Republicans have a health care plan or something that they could put on the table, then that's what they need to do so that they can reopen the government. But they both have to be at the table. We are tired of hearing excuses as Americans. We expect our elected officials to do the job that they were put in office to do. But when they sit on it and they don't do anything and they just bicker among themselves, then that's not helping anyone. Thanksgiving is coming up. That's a day that people celebrate and they give thanks. But this Thanksgiving might not go as planned because you're going to have a lot of people that are not going to be able to celebrate with their loved ones and their families because they won't be able to afford the food. They're just trying to eat day to day. I don't know what's going on, day to day. So more has to be done. And I believe enough isn't being done. It's not, people don't care if it's the Democrats or the Republicans or the president. We want these people to get results. We want the government back open. Enough is enough. Like, we don't want Thanksgiving to be rolling around and it's still shut down. Now people have lost their homes. They're lost their cars been repossessed. You know, these bills are piling up, and even when the government is reopened, they still have an obligation to pay back debt. The debt doesn't go away. They still have responsibilities. So they're multimillionaires. So they don't understand. I don't know how many people on here that are everyday Americans, regardless of party. We got to get out of this party thing and think American and think that we just want our elected officials to do what they were elected to do. Because you can't tell your child, please, you can't tell your child that, oh, the government is closed, and they're fighting it out. That's why I can't feed you. How are you going to say that to a 4 or 5-year-old? Mommy's going to work every day, but I don't have enough money to buy food, because a lot of people that are on SNAP, they are the working poor. It's okay. They are the working poor. And it's unfair to them. You have vets, you have disabled, you have seniors, you have people that are in need of the funding, that aren't receiving the funding that they need. SNAP recipients, they only get like what, $148 or something like that. Thank you for helping. $148 a month. That's just a supplement. You guys, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe so that we can get this video out, because we want the government to reopen. At this point, they should have worked it out. How many of you agree? Or where are you guys watching from? How many of you agree that at this point, 36 days later, that they should have worked this out by now? 36 days later, and they still have the same fights going on? I mean, how fair is that to the American people that they can still come 36 days later, and they done had this election yesterday? So I think that that's demonstrating that people are tired of it. They say they're blaming the Republicans, the Democrats, and the president. It's split with America. Nobody's just blaming just one party. People are blaming both parties equally, and the president.
Wade Williams, why are you even watching this?
They're blaming both parties at this point, because people are tired now. They're blaming both parties. They want the government to be, to open back up, and now they're just blaming everyone, for not doing their job. President Trump, he blamed, I think, even the Republicans, because he was saying that, they should filibuster. They should do, and so that they could just reopen the government. And the Democrats are saying, no, the Republican leaders are saying, we don't want to do that, because then the Democrats can come around and they can do the same thing. So they don't want to, I guess, overplay their hand, for lack of a better word. They don't want to overplay their hand. I'm trying to find something. And it's just to the point that it's too much. It's too much. If people don't know what filibuster means, I'm going to put this up so you'll have an understanding.
Donald Trump wants to get rid of it right now during the government shutdown. Let's break it down.
Well, all we have to do is open up the country. We voted 14 times.
Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The U.S. government is partially shut down. Congress cannot agree on a funding bill. And Trump, he is blaming the Senate's rules, specifically the filibuster. Here's how it works. Most bills in the Senate need 60 votes to move forward. That's called overcoming a filibuster. It's basically a procedural roadblock. If fewer than 60 senators agree, the bill stalls. Trump says, forget the rule, end the shutdown, go nuclear. And I quote, get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now. The nuclear option he is talking about, it means changing Senate rules so that only a simple majority, 51 votes, is needed to pass most bills. That sounds like an easy fix, but here's the catch. Both parties use the filibuster when they are in minority. Republicans killed it for Supreme Court nominations back in 2017. But they have resisted for legislation. Why? Because if they scrap it now, Democrats could do exactly the same when they take power. Even top Republicans like Senate leader John Thune say the filibuster protects the soul of the Senate, forcing compromise instead of one-party rule. So while Trump wants quick action to end the government shutdown, most of his party says not so fast. Because in Washington, today's shortcut could be tomorrow's regret. And hence, filibuster is not going anywhere, at least for now.
Yeah, this is like, it's so like at this point, it's just really a problem for America that we should be going through. And the thing about it, we have people that watch this channel from all over the world, and there's a lot to say about
The
what's going
government
on.
shutdown and federal food assistance remains in limbo for tens of millions of Americans. A fresh new CBS News poll finds Americans blame President Trump, Democrats, and Republicans almost equally for the shutdown. In a 60 Minutes sit-down interview with CBS News' Nora O'Donnell, the president slammed Democrats.
What are you doing as president to end the shutdown?
Well, all we're doing is we keep voting. I mean, the Republicans are voting almost unanimously to end it, and the Democrats keep voting against ending it. You know, they've never had this. This has happened like 18 times before. The Democrats always voted for an extension, always saying, give us an extension, we'll work it out. They've lost their way. They become crazed lunatics.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more. Good morning, Natalie. So things at the beginning of this week look the same as they did at the end of last week. So where do things stand with food assistance, and what else is the president saying about that and the shutdown?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. Let's start with SNAP. Two federal judges overseeing two separate lawsuits on this matter have both ruled that the Trump administration has to tap into contingency funds to pay for SNAP benefits for, more than 40 million hours before these SNAP benefits were set to expire. And on the shutdown overall, you heard in that clip with Norah O'Donnell that he is still urging 5 Democrats to vote with Republicans to pass the GOP short-term funding measure. And he also said, if they don't do that, he wants Republican leaders to use the so-called nuclear option, eliminate the filibuster, which would mean that legislation in the Senate could pass with just a simple majority. Important